He who starts the call must finish the call.
This is true. So
That's what we learned.
did everybody get logged out?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, and only the females reconnected.
Oh, here comes Carl.
Carl's, there he is.
All right. So who else are we missing?
Brian was on there.
Yep. I don't know where he went.
Can you text Brian and just tell him I'm sorry? Is that it?
Tracy was here too.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We just have to get the number again. We'll bring it back on.
Yeah, I had issues with my number.
Is that it? Is that all we have? Is Brian and Tracy that were still here?
I believe so.
Yep.
Okay. I'm so sorry, guys, and I'm gonna have to figure this out. Hey, Connie, I can see you're there. I don't know if you want to unmute or show your video, but you can. Let me see if I can. Connie, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, now I can hear you. Are you going to show your video tonight or not?
Probably not.
Okay,
I just want to listen in.
that's all right. That's A-okay. Brian's back.
Okay.
So the only one we're missing is Tracy. Brian's connecting on audio. Hey, Brian. Let me unmute you. Sorry about that. That's my fault.
No problem.
I didn't realize that me logging in would kick everybody off.
No, it wasn't you logging in, it was me logging out.
Mhm.
We're trying to figure this out. What's happened is I did a call, a Zoom session, a three-way call with Elizabeth Weber this past week with one of our potentials. And she was like, you have got to join our 90-day fast track. And I'm thinking, wow, like that's an opportunity that's hard to refuse. So I was like, well, what do I need to do? Anyway, it's a lot. I have to do 10-3-2, which I just found out on the call, which means I have to make 10 contacts per day, 5 days a week, or I'm kicked out. So I've got to really contemplate whether I want to step up my game to that, because those 10 calls don't have to be all of mine personally, but it has to be 10 calls collectively with my team and their people and my people. So like the other day I did 6 between all of you and myself, but obviously I either need all of you to step up to the plate and myself to make that happen, because 10's a lot. I've done it one other time before, and that's how we went from professional to supervising. So I guess what I'm asking is, what I learned from being on that call with her was humongous. One call with her and I was like, I got off the call and I'm like, Pip, there's things that she did that we've never done. So what I would like to do is I want to get everyone, did you contact Tracy?
I did.
Okay, thank you. I want to get back to making sure that we all know how to present the business. Meaning you don't have to know how to show the plan, meaning the whole enchilada, but we have to know how to talk through the business. And so like I started doing the overviews with Tracy. Hey, Tracy. Sorry about that. That was our fault. So I realized that we started doing the overviews with Tracy, and in doing that, like Tracy and I talked about, we didn't want to be in presentation mode. You want to get to know people. You want to make that relationship. You want to build that. And I did a call with Stacia this past week that was just amazing. We actually were able to all connect, build a relationship, and that went to the second call. And then the second call went exactly as Elizabeth was teaching me, that second call, we showed the plan, and she brought her husband to the table for that. And then from that, we led to the ABC pattern that we got on the phone with them on Sunday, and they brought people to the table. So we are building the relationship and all kind of growing together and making it go step by step by step. And so on Sunday, my goal was then to have Stacia at least present a couple of those slides. And that's exactly what we did. And what I learned from being on with Elizabeth was that there were, I think, 5 of us there. And there were 3 of us myself, one other girl, and Elizabeth. And she went, oh, so Deb, you show the next slide. Okay, Beth, you take the next slide. And then she'd take the next slide. And we would just, and it was so relaxed and it wasn't in presentation mode. And so people really connected to it. And that first level might be just going through the shop.com site. It's going to be whatever you want to expose that person to based on the conversation you had with them. So it might be going through the shop.com site and just kind of showing them how we actually convert spending into earning with our branded products and a little bit of shopping online. Then it might be going to the front half of the plan. Or if the person, like I have a person that I got on the phone with her, we didn't talk about shop.com at all. We went right into the first part of the plan because she was looking for a business. And I knew that based on my conversations with her. And then I backed up, and after she saw that, we did first part of the plan, second part of the plan, and then I went back and we did the shop.com stuff. And so it doesn't matter what, I mean, obviously don't show the second part before the first part, but it doesn't matter if you do the shop.com site or if you do the first half of the plan, you have to meet the person where they are. So what I'd like to do tonight is start getting this practice with having the cash flow quadrant conversation, the residual income conversation, and then moving through those first number of slides. And then next week, really start doing some real short little tutorials on the shop.com site so that we can all learn from each other. Because if we're not going out there and showing some of this stuff ourselves, like Laura and I talked about, back in the day, I know it seems like forever ago, but back in the day, we did this live with each other. We were in the same location. We lived close to each other. What's happened as time's gone along, and Elizabeth was just saying this on the call, it was actually her birthday tonight. So somebody invited JR and Andrew to join us. So we were all singing happy birthday. We had our birthday notes to her. So it was kind of fun. But as she said on that call, you know, for years, I have not been able to be there to support my people. And it's like Tracy and I joined hands to work together here in Jacksonville because I don't have anybody in Jacksonville. She didn't have anybody in Jacksonville. And it was like, okay, well, we've got each other. But like Laura and I would talk about, you know, I can't just be there with Laura. I can't be there with Carl. I can't be there with, I just can't be in every place with each of you. So we don't get to build the business side by side. But Zoom has completely changed that, completely. And so with that being said, there is no reason anymore that we can't build this business alongside of each other. And so it's just a matter, and that I don't want to keep doing, I mean, Tracy and I were talking about, do we want to keep doing these overviews? It's not that we don't want to do overviews, but we'd like those overviews to really just be, we've got people who want to see the plan, so we're going to do an overview. And who's available to jump on? And you have maybe 4 or 5 people total, but you don't have these big groups, because what happens on those big groups, as we found out the other week, you have 15 or so people on there. There's no way that I can connect with each of those people. And then they don't show their picture or whatever. And then some of you are having a hard time following up with them. So anybody have any comments or thoughts before we start working on going through the different slides? You're all like perfect little students. Nobody ever complained.
One ran away.
Yeah, Brian ran away.
He ran away.
Brian, come back. There he is. He didn't run away too far.
See,
He
Connie
got-
might have
He's
run
got
away
his
with his
notes.
Brian got his notes. Everybody thought you ran away, Brian. We were worried. So,
No, that and he wanted out.
oh, gotcha. Brian, why don't you go ahead and, I don't know that everyone here really knows you. Can you just introduce yourself real quickly? Tell them who you are and how you ended up here.
My name is Brian Madison. As you can by the screen. I actually, Paul and Denise Wentz is the one, is our neighbors, and they got us connected. but life's been kind of crazy the last 2 years, so it's been kind of hit or miss. Now I'm at a standstill.
There you go. Like a lot of other people.
That's right.
And the thing is, what we've learned over these last few weeks, the first few weeks, everybody was just kind of like, woo, like Twilight Zone. But what we've learned over the last few weeks, people are so desperately looking and aware of the fact that they need another income stream, aware of the fact that they're already doing what we do. They're already converting, they're already spending money online. And I don't think we're going to see any collapse of online spending from this point forward. Not for a long time to come.
It's going to grow exponentially now because people have gotten used to it and it's become part of their lifestyle.
So it's just a matter of growing it and getting in front of people with it. So again, I mean, do you guys, I know that I get lots of text messages throughout the week and everything. Does anybody have any comments or questions?
I'm just curious to see how you get it to flow smoothly through all this, but I'm excited to try it. I've always done first half, second half, or when Tim and I present in front of a room, we would like just sort of chime in each other, like even on the same slide, but we've never just done one slide, one slide, one slide.
I think the answer to your question, Charlotte, what I'm learning is that when we're in front of the room, it's a presentation mode. When we're doing this the way it should be a conversation.
Okay.
And what I have found with doing the luncheons is we're in presentation mode and we don't want to be there at that point because that does not connect you to the new person. And we've got to connect to the new person or the new 2 people or 3 people. But I wouldn't say we'd want more than 2 or 3 people on there because one negative Nanny can take everybody down. So we want to make sure that we are not having too many people on there, but if you have too many people, you have to go into presentation mode because if you allow them to talk and there's a negative one, it can bring the whole thing down. But if you only have 1 or 2 people, you can have a conversation with them and it can flow. So with that being said, let me pull up. All right, let's see here. And I don't want anybody to be scared. There's nothing we're going to say is wrong. What we're going to do is just do our best let's see here, slideshow. So what we're going to do is we're just going to do our best on having a conversation. And if all we get through tonight is this, it's okay. Because honestly, if we just get through this and you guys can go out and have this conversation with people and bring them to the table for a part 1, then it's going to be easy. Part 1 will be either we're talking about shop.com and showing them the website and how it works and how we convert spending into earning, or we will be going through part 1, meaning the first half of the abbreviated plan. So if we get to that tonight, great. If not, I really want to work through this because this is your conversation with people. So I'm going to ask, I don't want to pick on people. I'd like everybody to go and everybody to do your best at just talking through this slide briefly. And if you want to do it more as a conversation with somebody rather than a presentation, feel free to say, pick somebody on the call that you want to do that with. So who wants to go and give it a shot first?
I will, because I'm not as good at this slide as I would like to be.
Okay, go for it, Charlotte. Do you want to do it as a presentation or do you want to do it as a talking to somebody?
I'll probably start presenting and turn it into a conversation. I don't know yet.
Okay, go for it.
I wasn't planning on doing this, but this is the one that, is the newest one for my slide set, so.
Okay, so let me just preface it with this, you guys. What I want you to do is take notes on things that you feel she said that were just really like, wow, like that was incredible. Anything that might make you feel like it felt weird or felt squirrely or something, you want to be able to point that out because we want to discuss that to say, I don't know that I'd want to say that to somebody. We want to help each other through this. So I want you to take coaching points because you're going to need to, as you sponsor people and have a team, you need to become that coach. So I want you to learn how to coach at the same time.
So I'm assuming going to this, we've been talking to the person a little, having a conversation, and then we start, more. So you've already talked. I think if I get to this point with the slide, I would probably start something like, this slide actually can be quite life-changing. And when I understood this concept that's listed here, it definitely changed my life. Even though I had an accounting degree and went to college for business, I never really completely understood linear income versus ongoing income, or what leverage and residual income are. Are you familiar with any of those concepts?
No, I'm not. Please tell me more.
Okay. This is actually this quadrant, this 4-quadrant slide is a source from Robert Kiyosaki's a book called Cash Flow Quadrant. He's written a lot of books on residual income, and one of the most famous books was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And when I first read this book, I realized I was always on the left side of the quadrant, on the E and the S, being an employee or being self-employed. I always said I've been an employee where I had a job. I was self-employed where I was the job. As a consultant, both of those, employee and consultant, if I didn't show up for work, I didn't get paid. So I was always trading my time for money. Self-employment, I had a little more freedom about where I worked and when I worked. However, if I didn't work, I didn't get paid. And for the employee side and the self-employed side, again, you're trading time for money, and your money's growing linearly. And so if you stop working, the income stops. Or if you become disabled, you end up with less income. It's not really a good way to build true wealth, and you really you're not in control of your time. Somebody else is leveraging you. On the business and investor side, the right to is where it's ongoing income and not linear. And with a business, it's a little more than self-employed. With a business, you can actually walk away for a little while and the business will continue to run and make money. So with the business quadrant, you're leveraging other people. As an investor, you're actually leveraging money. And so they create more of an ongoing income. And your money can grow exponentially, and your income continues. And if you're not working, you can take a long vacation and the business will continue. And I realized I started out as an employee, went to self-employed. I wanted to be on the other side of the quadrant, so I wasn't constantly working 55 hours a week and having to ask permission to take vacation and things like that. That's what I would do for the slide.
Good.
Very good.
Very good.
Very good.
You
Yay.
understand the slide very well.
You do. So anything that wowed you, or any little things that you guys could pick up as coaching tips?
Yeah, I think what was a wow, the things that I wrote down, when Charlotte first started, she was using I, so she was using personal experience, and when she said this, when I realized this, it was life-changing. That really perks people's ears up, to want more. And then I like the way she followed up with, well, are you familiar with these concepts? And which, brings it back and gives a little more, not control, but the input from whoever you're talking with. And then I liked the way she used the word leveraging in the 3 different ways, that you're being leveraged, or you're leveraging someone else, or investor, your money is as an investor, you're leveraging money. So that nothing was weird. Good job, only you. But no.
Very good.
Well done.
Well, thank you.
I liked how you used your accounting background in terms of saying, I went to school for business and you basically said, and they didn't teach me this.
They didn't.
Because that's huge. In basically, number one, without doing it, you're edifying yourself as being educated, but you're also saying, I can still learn more. In fact, out of college, I learned this. There was a lot to that, and that was real strong. And I think everything was good. My only bit to say, take it one little bit further, is When you get to the B&I side, you're going to show them how this business can move them into the B quadrant. And so that's the point of this, is to get them from an E and an S, which they most likely are, and tell them, we're going to show you how we can get you into that B quadrant where you can walk away, which you already talked about. So that kind of closes the deal.
Good.
Yeah, we can also bring up the 95 versus 5%.
Oh, yeah, where the income versus the people are. Yeah, that's true. I usually mention that.
But that was very good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Anybody else?
The one thing I noted was the self-employed where I was the job. I like that comment.
Yeah.
Mhm.
12 years of my life, if I didn't show up for work, no money came in. And I'm going back to that for a little bit.
But I think what, Charlotte, I think what Carl's saying is he really liked, and I agree with him, I really liked that line you used where you said, and I was the job.
Right. For self-employed.
I think that was a really like smooth line.
That was very good.
Mhm.
I picked that from somebody else. Yeah.
Okay.
Keep it, conceal
Yeah.
your source.
Yeah, because a lot of people who are self-employed, they don't think of it that way, as that they are the job, and if something happens to them, there is no more job, there is no income coming in.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Right. Self-employed, but you're still working.
Right. That's, yeah,
Still
you
gotta
are
put
the
the time
job.
in.
Yep.
Excellent, excellent. So Charlotte, the only thing I would say, I agree with everything that's been said, and I'm just going to kind of build on what Pip said, is just make sure at the end, kind of like you said at the beginning, you know, and I'm trying to think exactly what you said, but you asked them a question, have you ever experienced this, or do you know about this? At the end, just make sure you're finishing with a question to be able to move to the next step. You know, and like Pip said, saying something like, we teach people how to get to be business owners and investors. Is that, you know, is this something that you know people who are looking for that? And I always like to take it off of the person I'm talking to and say, you know, do you know people like that who would like to get to that? And then if they say they are themselves, then obviously you go there. If they don't, then you're obviously going to start looking at showing it as though it's a referral.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else have any feedback?
Good job, Charlotte.
Yep, great job. So yay!
I always know, go first.
Yep,
I learned
you
public
always
speaking
do.
101 as a freshman in college at Penn State, go first.
And I appreciate that about you, because you always step up to the plate and you put yourself out as vulnerable, and that's why you're doing as well as you're doing, honestly, because you keep growing. So who wants to go next?
I'll go next.
All right, Laura Cummings, take it on.
Okay, it's just getting started is the hardest part, where you are in conversation. Okay, here we have linear income versus ongoing income. Have you ever heard of those two? Have you ever heard of that?
No, ma'am.
No, I didn't either, because I had gone to school like most people do for, you know, through college, get a degree. I got a degree in special ed, and I was an employee, a teacher. And I went to work, traded time for money. And most people fall into this quadrant here. And this quadrant we're looking at is from Robert Kiyosaki, Cash Flow Quadrant. Have you read those books of Robert Kiyosaki?
No.
No? I didn't either until it was presented to me. And then everything made sense in life, what I was doing versus I was an employee. And when I met my husband, he was self-employed, so we thought. And so my husband was in the self-employed quadrant, and he was in the insurance industry, and he is a safe money specialist. And he vacillated actually between self-employed and business owner with leverage, because back in the day when he would sell a product and someone bought that product again, he would get a residual income. And But as time changed and industry changed, he was then just one and done. Make a sale and you have a commission. So if he wasn't selling, he wasn't making any money. Do you know people like that?
Yeah.
Okay, most people think that's owning your own business is this self-employed. We were able to go on vacations anytime we wanted. However, if he wasn't selling, then there was no income. So we always knew that there was a better way. And on the other side of the right side of the quadrant, you see the B for business with leverage. You might know some of those businesses like Walmart's the epitome. Mr. Walmart doesn't have to be there to earn money, right? The doors are open and he can travel and do what he wants. Well, that's business with leverage. They're leveraging the people, like the employees at Walmart, and they don't have to be there to earn income. And below that, you see the I, that's investor. And that's when your money works for you. It might be, you might have heard the term passive income, or it used to be called mailbox money back in the day. Your money's working for you. And like in our insurance, in our insurance business, we teach a lot of people how to do that with the money that they've saved over the years. Their money works for them. The trouble is, 95% of the population are employees or self-employed, and therefore the business owners and investors, that constitutes about 5% of the population. So 95% of the population are being leveraged by the business owners. And what we do is we help people, if they're willing and want more information, how to go from the left side of the quadrant to the right side of the quadrant and implement leverage into their life versus being the ones leveraged. So, that's where I am with it.
All right.
Yay! Again,
Good
you guys
job.
are stepping out of the box and being vulnerable. I love it. So, who would like to go first with some wows or some coaching tips?
Wow.
A lot of information there.
I like that you made it personal with, you know, what you did as a teacher, and then marrying somebody that was self-employed in a business. I mean, bringing it around and to the insurance industry, giving a good example.
Who was
I
that?
feel as though it was too choppy. I definitely have to smooth it out, but I'm used to pointing and I know you wouldn't be able to see that.
Who else would like to speak up? Come on, you guys.
I won't cry.
No, she won't. This,
They don't want to be too tough because they haven't gone yet. I agree with Charlotte. I like the way you made it personal, more of a story than just explaining the chart. I mean, you had your story in there, you had Richard's story in there, and you talked about how his business has changed. I like that.
I would add that all the wealth is on the right side, because you went into how the population. I would just close it off with the 95 there, but 90% of the wealth is on that side, to make it even more like not in your face, but like, look, all the people here and all the money's over here, to get them more interested in going to the right side.
Good idea.
feedback. Why is everybody so quiet? We're all here to support one another. She's not going to cry over this.
Come on, Beth, hit me.
Tracy, you are welcome to be part of our team. You've been through this enough times. I'm going to unmute you.
Thank you.
You're talking and we can't hear you. You're good.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Now we can.
I'm messing up my screen. I can't hardly see the screen right now. I don't know what I did to my phone. But no, I thought that was great. I loved what she said. I thought she handled the quadrants really well. I liked how she went from the employee to the self-employed. she was using experience of her husband's insurance company and the leverage. I think, let's see, there was one thing at the end that I thought made me kind of go, ooh, I don't know if I'd say that, was this is how we show people if they're willing, if they're willing to, and maybe saying something like if people are looking for a better way rather than if they're willing. Kind of felt like maybe you were, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I know, because I wrote that word down.
Did you? Okay. But that was, I mean, but otherwise I thought you did a great job.
Thank you. Good point.
And since she said that, thanks, Tracy. Since she said that, I'm going to piggyback on that, Laura. I thought, I agree with what you said. I think you covered everything beautifully. I think you just have to work on doing it so it gets smoother.
Right.
Because your voice is choppy, which tells me the confidence isn't there, but that's to be expected. Here we are in front of our own peers.
Right.
So yes, I agree with you on that. And the more we do it, the more it's going to get smooth. But I think the one word that made me kind of cringe at the end is you said, and if people are willing, and I would just change that one word willing to it, if you are interested in learning more.
Okay.
You know, we could take it to the next step. Or do you know people who are interested in learning how to do that? But I would just take the word willing out.
Willing
Okay.
makes it seem like you're kind of pulling them along. If they're willing, you're going to pull them.
So
Yeah, that popped out. I don't think I've ever used that word in my life.
I know, right? You never will again.
Been there before.
and again, you guys, I know this is nerve-wracking because you're in front of your peers, but the thing is, if you go out and start talking to other people and you haven't practiced this here in front of your peers, and you haven't recorded it on Zoom to send to us, or we haven't worked together on it. We used to do this not sitting, but standing side by side or sitting side by side with somebody across the kitchen table with us.
Right.
And so that's what we need to create here, is just feel like you're sitting there sharing this with somebody across the table from you. We're not here to beat you up. We're here to lift you up. And that's what we need to do, is we want to lift you up. So with that being said, who wants to be the next party up?
Oh.
All right, Maria.
Can I ask a favor first?
Yes.
Can you undo the green line? Because I can't concentrate with it there.
Can I what?
There's a green line on the screen now.
Somebody drew on the screen and I don't know who drew it, and I can't erase it because I didn't draw it.
Probably me.
Let me see if I can erase the line.
I'm OCD and that's like all I can focus on now.
Yeah, I don't know that I can. Oh, yes, I can.
You did it.
Cool. Well, I just learned something new. Awesome.
Sorry.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you, this is probably
Take this away.
Thank you.
this is probably one of the few slides I didn't practice, so I'll give it my best shot.
Go for it.
So let's talk about linear income versus ongoing income. Are you familiar with those two terms?
No.
Okay. Robert Kiyosaki is probably one of his most famous books is Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And following that, we have the cash flow quadrant. I had never heard of these concepts up until a few years ago. But once I learned about them, I realized that I fell into this employee category my entire life. Went to school, got an education, came out, started working for someone else, basically trading my time for money. If I didn't go to work, I didn't get paid. And that's where a lot of our population falls. Then we have the self-employed. Those are people who own a business, but they're still working. They're still trading their time in order to get that paycheck and bring that money into their house. If they stop working, the money stops coming in. So really your time is not your own time. You're working to make the people on the right-hand side of this quadrant wealthy. We have the business owners. business owners have leverage in that their businesses are run by other people, and those people, they're leveraging the time of those people. They can go off, take a step away, and they're still getting paid because those people are working for them. And then we have the investor. The investor is leveraging their money. Most popular, probably, example would be real estate. People who buy real estate, sell real estate, and invest in real estate. They have to do nothing other than leverage that money, put that money in, and they're constantly getting that ongoing income. It's coming in. They have the freedom to go where they want to go, do what they want to do, live the lifestyle they want to live, and they don't have to be worried about their time, because their time is their time. It's free. So what we'd like to show you is how you can move, if you're interested, or if you know anyone else who is interested, how you can move from this left side of the quadrant to the right side of the quadrant and earn ongoing income without, and have the time freedom by leveraging the business that you're working with. Boom. Kind of stumbled. I really haven't practiced this at all. So
I'm going to say this, with no practice whatsoever, you did a phenomenal job. And I can only say this, honestly, if you keep doing this, Maria, and practicing, you're just going to get better and better at it. But I'm going to let everybody else speak, but I'm very proud of you, because I know that's your first time really doing it in front of all of us.
I think my favorite parts were when you got to the B and the I, the other part where I stumbled over. You did a better job of explaining business, that having other people run it. I mean, spent more time on that side. An investor, using, real estate as an example, like actually giving a concrete example that people could wrap their head around, explaining the right side a little bit better than I did. So it was good.
I think she worked at she spoke at the perfect speaking pace too.
Mm-hmm.
My debate teacher would have loved you.
I was trying not to say, because I do that a lot.
Yes, and she would have taken off points for every
And Maria, I'm glad you said that, because that's an important thing for you guys to record yourselves on Zoom, because when you're using you don't necessarily notice it until you actually record yourself and listen back to it. And those mean you don't come across as confident. So it's really important to do that and record yourself and listen back to it, because if you have too many people are going to not feel confident in your presence.
Well, I think this will be my homework tomorrow, to record this and do it again.
Awesome.
Again and again.
I want to just jump in. I don't know if anybody else has anything, but I want to say the other thing I loved is how you truly opened it up with talking about Robert Kiyosaki wrote a first book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, but then the book that really was his claim to fame was this cash flow quadrant. I don't know the terms you used to say that, but you said it very beautifully and made that segue for somebody. And I thought that was excellent. Anybody else have anything to add?
I thought it was very clear and very detailed. So
I agree.
Very good.
Very good. What time is it? Okay, we probably have time for one more person. So who's going to bring us in tonight?
I could, I guess, if nobody else wants to.
Okay, go for it, Carl.
All right. So I won't start out with a but here we go. So I'd like to talk to you real quick tonight about linear versus ongoing income. I have here a slide that is by Robert Kiyosaki. He wrote the book Cash Flow Quadrant. He's also written many other books, such as Rich Dad, Poor Dad. But on this slide here, on the left-hand side, we have something called active linear income. And what that means is somebody like an employee like myself, if I want to increase my wage, I actually have to work more hours. So what that means, if I want to increase my income, I have to work 40, maybe 50, or even 60 hours a week. Now, there I'm trading time for money. And, you know, I don't necessarily want to be doing that my whole life. So I want to look at other ways of, you know, creating that income. Now, self-employed, you know, creates some additional income, but there again, I'm trading that time for money. You know, I am the boss, I'm the owner of the company. I can create, you know, some more money being self-employed, but, you know, I get other expenses that come along with that. You know, I'll have some costs of machines and all those other things that come along with being self-employed. So what I would like to do is talk about something that's ongoing income. So for any of you that want to know more about ongoing income, you know, you'd want to be a business owner or an investor. Now with a business owner, you know, it's somebody who owns a company that has multiple employees that work for them. That way the business owner can take time off and he doesn't necessarily have to sit there and, you know, have to do the work to create that income. The employees create the income for him. Otherwise, you know, an investor puts all his money into assets such as, you know, a parking lot or a mini storage unit, you know, things like that, you know, you stick your money into it once and you get monthly payments that are being made to you by people paying rent or lease payments and things like that. So what I'd like to show you in the next couple of slides is how you can move yourself from being that employee or that self-employed where you're trading that time for money, and show you how to create that ongoing leveraged income through the next few slides. So if you'd like to know more, I'd like to show you a few more slides. How's that? Quick and simple.
The new kid on the block shines.
Woohoo!
So who would like to give some wow?
But I really liked what Carl did. He started talking right from the beginning with employee on through self-employed, how if you want to increase your income, what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think gets people thinking like, oh yeah, that's right. I'd have to work overtime or whatever. And how am I going to increase my income? So I liked adding that.
I was going to throw in you know, go out and get a second job, you know, because I know a lot of people that work, you know, 2 or 3 jobs.
Yeah.
But I forgot to say that.
That also made me think, I don't know, nobody has said it here, but I've seen this slide presented where someone, when they got to the self-employed part, has also said that, you know, sometimes, like Carl, you had said, as an employee, if you want to increase your income, you have to generally increase your hours. I've seen, and I can't remember who it was, somebody presented to that effect that the self-employed, there are a lot of times you're increasing your hours, but you're not necessarily increasing the money that's coming in.
Right. And with the self-employed too, you know,
you're responsible for all the everything. And
right.
so you have to put in a lot more hours than you're necessarily, and you're not necessarily always getting money out for
right.
investing.
And with the self-employed, like you say, you got to invest your money actually into machines, you know, like lawnmowers or, you know, electricians, they got to buy tools, or auto mechanics, they got to buy, you know, tools. I mean, those people who are self-employed, to get more money, they've got to invest more money into their, you know, either education or their tools or machines.
I thought Carl did a great job. The only thing I would add is the part about when work stops, as an E or an S, when the work stops, the income stops. Because right now with all this huge stoppage, I mean, it just drives the point home that, you know, people kept thinking this would never happen, but here we are. So when you can't go to work, then even getting an additional job, right now, work stops, you stop, money stops. So that's driving that home a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Excellent. Anybody have any coaching tips for the new guy on the block?
Watch your thumbs. I probably did it too, and I didn't know I did it. But I know I have a habit of doing it, which is why I said I hope I didn't.
No, you didn't.
No.
So I agree with what everybody said. The only coaching tip I would have, Carl, is that when you moved from employee to self-employed, instead of saying, would you like to see how you can create? I would prefer that, I think it would go over better for the person you're sitting with if you say, and then would you like to learn how we help people create themselves to become business owners and investors? Because you might know somebody. So again, taking it, we're so used to talking to a person in front of us and acting like they should be interested. And we really want to encourage all of you to take the focus off of the person you're sitting in front of and move it on to, would you be interested in taking a look to see how we create it for other people, for people? If they will always, I promise you, if the person in front of you is interested, they will always, always, always say, I'd like more information. But if you take the approach that you're approaching the person in front of you, they typically will back off. You're going to get less, you're going to get more resistance. And so that would be my only suggestion. I thought you did a beautiful job. I love the way you talked about employee and self-employed business owner with Leverett. I mean, you've got the words that go with all of it. It's just a matter of being able to make that transition. And again, talking about how we move that, how we show people how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else have any other comments or anything?
There's always things that you think of after the fact, you know?
Yep.
Always. So I want to say this, you guys. There's always, every time you sit down with a person, and Laura knows me, I walk away from every appointment and I do the post-game report. Because after every meeting, you're always go, oh, I should have said that. I could have said that. I would get down from doing the UBPs and I'd look at Pip and say, I don't even know what I said. I just had an out-of-body experience. Because I was so stressed up there. I had practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced to be able to get it out. And then I'd get done and and people would like, I love the way you did that. And I'm like, what did I do? Because I honestly would have like an out-of-body experience because I was so nervous and I had to hide my nervousness so my body wouldn't shake, which meant I sweated, which is why I always, always, always wear black. A print in front of the room. So now you know my secret. So I just want to remind you that it takes doing it over and over and over again. So for those of you who did not go tonight, Stacia and Brian and Connie who left, and Tracy's done this plenty of times, so you're off the hook tonight, girl. But for those, Stacia, I would really like, and Brian, I'd really like for next week when we come back, we start with you guys to do this. And that doesn't mean you don't show up for the meeting because we want to help you. We want to help you get good at this. So I'd like to start next week with the two of you going through Cash Flow Quadrant, and then we can start going through the other slides and each person just kind of taking a slide and have each other's backs with it. Like, let's just do it like we would do it with a regular first look.
Oh, sure. They get to practice.
Well,
I misunderstood. I thought everybody was doing one slide and we were going to keep going. I didn't realize we were all doing the same slide. I misunderstood.
Well, so. I didn't know that either.
I walked around all day. I walked around all day presenting in my head, just so you know.
I honestly didn't have a plan, you guys. I honestly just knew I had to practice this. And then Pip and I talked earlier today and said, we really need to make sure they understand Cash Flow Quadrant because that's the first initial conversation.
Can I add something? When I started, Beth, we were 1,000 miles apart and there was nobody where I live, nobody. And I had no one to practice with. We didn't have Zoom and things like that. And I would practice with my dog. I mean, it was just like, I never had anybody to practice with. And the one time I got on one of Beth's calls, it was a Monday night call, and Tara Caruana was running it. And she wanted everybody to present the plan. And nobody for like 3 minutes volunteered. Like, it was dead silence on the phone. And I finally said, okay, I'll do it. I thought, what the heck? I was like one of the newer people. And I did it. It wasn't great, whatever, but I got the monkey off my back and I got some good feedback. And I've never forgotten that phone call. So I encourage you, just do it with us because we want you to do well. and
It's a safe zone.
it's a safe zone, and you don't want to have to do it like, on a whim and not have practice, and practice with us, because I mean, I wish I had had some more people to practice with. So
I used to practice in the mirror, but I had a hard time doing that because I couldn't look at myself and talk at the same time.
I
It
agree.
was really hard for me. I don't know why.
And so I think it's hard for everybody to do that, Maria. It's very hard to look at yourself. So I'm going to recommend when you do Zoom and you record yourself, don't put up the slide, share your slide to the page so you're not looking at yourself. Because if you're looking at yourself and not looking at the slide, it's hard to look at yourself and talk to yourself. So yeah, I would highly recommend pulling up the slide and have the slide in front of you.
Beth, I have a question. Are you doing the Tuesday night 7:30 and Thursday lunch, or revamping that?
I didn't plan any for this week because
Okay.
what we're gonna do is I wanna do it that as you guys have first part and second part, that if somebody has somebody, let's pull it together and make it happen. So that we're doing more first parts and second parts, and then we can all start coming together as we start getting more people. So like, for example, what happened is I called Elizabeth to say, would you do a would you pop in on a Zoom for me? And I knew it was going to be me and the other girl. And now I was bringing her in for my 3-way call, basically. So she said, what time are you starting? And I told her the time, and she said, I'll be there. And I'm thinking, well, I just need you to pop in at the end. So she popped in at the very beginning, and we had a 15-minute conversation that she actually stayed for the 15 minutes. And we just had a conversation, and she connected, and I connected the two of them. And I just sat there. It was it was like amazing because I didn't have to do anything. And then what she did is she said, what are you doing tonight at 7:30? I'm doing a part 1. She said, I know you've already seen the first part, but would you like to jump on and see it again? And Molly went, I would love to. And she said, I really want to see part 2. Beth said she'd show me part 2. And she said, well, I have a part 2 tomorrow. You could, and she went, oh, okay. So she jumped on part 1 again that night. And that night, she and one other girl was a guest. And then there was Elizabeth, Deb, and myself. And we each just took a slide and we went through the first part of the plan. And when we got done, I thought it was kind of funny because Elizabeth turned to the guest and said, because obviously her guest, it was her call. So she turned to her guest and she said, so I think her name was Christine or something like that. And she said, so Christine, did anything pique your interest? And Christine went, I'll have to think about it. And I was like, like, this is Elizabeth. You think Elizabeth, everything's sensible. But I want to say what I learned on tonight's call, her number is 33. She doesn't allow more than 33 people on her group. So there were 33 people on the call, plus JR and Andrew. So she kicked them off because they were over the number. But they were there to say happy birthday. But she, out of that, there was somebody on the call tonight that Elizabeth herself sponsored 3 people today. Personal sponsorships, 3 people today. She said, because there are so many people out there wanting this. And she said, I just keep running into people. And so 3 people she sponsored today. Somebody else on the team just sponsored 14 people last month.
Wow.
Because they're showing 10 people per day, but they're not showing one person. They're bringing them, they're having a short little conversation, and then they're bringing them to these first looks. What I think we were missing, and the reason I'm saying this, Laura, is because I think that we were missing that initial conversation of connecting, and then they show up for the first look, and I, the presenter, Tracy, the presenter, whoever's the presenter, becomes the salesperson from afar. And they're going, I don't know that person, and she's trying to sell me on something. And they shut down because there's no relationship built. And Carl, you and I have done so many calls like that where we've been building the relationships, and then we move them to the first look. Or you build the relationship and you move them to the first look with me, and then I can build the relationship in that first look. It moves further ahead faster. The same thing with Stacia. We did that this week. She did the first initial, and then brought Jamie to me, and then Jamie, Stacia, and I talked, and then Jamie brought her husband, and then Jamie brought her friend. And so we went from, we went from first part, or build the relationship, to first part to second part, and then back to first part, which would be the ABC pattern. Because now we're getting into her next level, and she's not on board yet. Our hope is that she's going to hopefully come on board this week, I think. We have a call tomorrow, right, Stacia? Okay. So yeah, so it's really about all of us getting out there and making more connection points to be able to bring these first looks together and have these first looks together. And that first look, like I said, might be a shop.com overview. It might be actual going through that first couple of slides, but you should be having the conversation that they want to see residual income. They'd like to learn how they could potentially convert their spending into income and be able to create another income stream, whatever you want to call it, whether you call it residual, passive, or just another income stream. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Maria?
Can I go off topic for a minute?
Absolutely.
Speaking of shop.com, do we have a grocery store yet?
Not that I know of.
Not that we've seen.
Okay.
I know.
I thought maybe it was just me, couldn't find anything.
No.
No.
I
You can
think
get meat at Rastelli's.
Well, I do that, but for pantry items,
Yeah.
spices.
Yeah, right.
I think where we are right now, this is our take on it from what we've heard through the grapevine.
I mean, I thought Kroger was supposed to be coming back. What happened?
Well,
Yeah.
so did we, but the profit, what we understand, the profit margin on groceries is very limited. So stores are not wanting to give back to Market America for groceries. But there's places like Kroger Ship, but I don't know what happened with them. I think this whole pandemic threw everything for tizzy. So my hope is personally that that's all gonna resolve itself and we're gonna get it back at some point, because there's gonna be more online shopping coming out of this.
They keep dropping. All my favorite stores are going one by one. They got rid of Michael's, which just made me want to cry because I'm a big crafter.
Mm-hmm.
And now there's no place to get, well, you can go to Hobby Lobby, but they don't have a good selection. And
Right. I know.
Joann's? Is Joann's Fabrics?
yeah, but their selection is not as good as Michael's either. And they're only like 1%, or maybe it's 2. I don't know.
Yeah.
Michael's has the best selection. I mean, they were just absolutely the best.
Have you
Yeah.
used Raise.com?
What's that?
Have you used Raise.com?
Oh, I'm Queen of Rays.
Oh, okay.
I think we hit our limit on Rays.
Oh, you did?
Last couple of cards I bought, we got nothing for it. So I'm thinking I hit my limit.
$10,000 limit?
There's a limit,
Yeah.
Yeah, 10,000.
10,000.
Doesn't take long when you buy.
No,
When you triple dip, it doesn't take long.
no,
Is that in a year, or can you ever
Lifetime.
reset?
Lifetime.
lifetime.
Oh. No bueno.
So here's my thought.
Thank you, Beth.
I think we're going to see a complete revival and changeover of IBV situation, because this pandemic has kind of made people aware that they need to shop online, but at the same time, a lot of stores have shut down. So we've seen a lot of the stores disappearing.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting. I think we're going to have a major shake up on the IBV stuff as we move forward. I don't know what that will look
There's
like.
probably going to be more M&A too. So, I mean, some of these little stores might go away or get bought up. Like when the first one that came out was Box, and then there was Jet, and then Walmart bought Jet, and Jet basically went away.
I love them.
Yeah, I did too.
That was my
But
favorite.
I bought everything. My
Mhm.
frozen
Amazon bought Boxed.
eggs.
Who owns Boxed?
Yeah.
Box was good too.
yeah,
So off topic, I know it's way after 10, but you all look like you're wide awake tonight, so this is good. Everybody else,
I haven't slept in weeks.
well, then you're good. Is
I have not
everybody?
had a good night's sleep in at least 3 weeks.
Oh,
I can't sleep.
Is
I go to
everybody
bed.
ready for rapid fire questions?
Oh God, I forgot about that.
No. No.
So our chosen person to lead rapid fire tonight is Carl.
Woohoo!
All
And
right.
so, Carl, do you want to lead us off? Let me alert Tracy to what this is because she hasn't been here. So we've been doing rapid fire questions, anything related to the business, and each person's been taking a turn each week. And it's just a rapid fire, raise your hand, and then we pick on somebody to give the answer. And if they don't get it right, we keep going so everybody supports one another.
All right. I'm going to start you off with some easy ones first, some acronyms. What is MPCP?
Management. Oh,
Oh,
you raise your hand.
raise your hand.
Yeah.
Maria.
Management performance compensation plan.
There you go.
I always try to put the C before the P.
All right. The next one is SAM, spelled SAMM. Maria.
Shopping annuity master member.
There you go.
I won't
All
raise
right.
my hand again.
Okay, how about this one? EMP.
What?
EMP.
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 I'll have a blank on this.
Anyone know? Tracy,
Emerging market program.
you're correct.
Oh,
I did not know that one, so I couldn't raise my hand.
yeah.
Right? So I start you off with some easy ones. This one's an easy one too. NUOT. Maria.
Huge strip.
New unfranchised owner training.
All right. Okay, how about this? Can you list 8 websites that you can put your name after?
Oh, good question.
I'll take a stab.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's a lot.
all right, I've got them written down here.
.com, theglobal.shop.com, themotives.com, tlsslim.com, isotonics.com,
It's 5.
the financial, the mark, what's the name of it? I should know this. There's one for Debt Shredder.
Can you put your name after it?
Market Financial.
Top
I think
financial.
that's 6, sorry, 5 or 6.
That's 5.
No, I have 6.
Well, that one you would have gotten.
That would have been 6.
That would have been 6.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're right on it. You just have to get the right name.
I couldn't think of it.
And then there's the web center.
Oh,
Yeah, then there's a shopping annuity.
You don't have your website?
Yeah, and then there's a Market America website.
Mhm.
There's a Lumiere DV website,
Up to 9.
and then the Laird. So
Oh, the layered. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Oh,
add
layer.
all those.
Yes.
Does anybody know what the layered website is? I mean, what it's called? Is it
Get
layered?
layered, isn't it?
Is
I think
it
it's
Layered.com.
getlayered.com forward.
Get
layered?
Yep.
That's what it was.
And Laura, there's not an MA Web Center unless you pay for it.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Financial, that's what it's called. I couldn't think of that.
What is it? Debt financial?
Financial.
Shop.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
You can put your name after that one.
hmm
I didn't see that.
You don't have to pay for that one, Charlotte?
I think you have to pay for it.
Okay,
I
so
think you
that's
do.
not one.
That's like a Web Center one. You have to pay for it.
So I couldn't find that one.
Oh, okay.
All right, here's a question. If I bought a product January 1st of this year, how long is my BV good for? How many days?
300.
branch.
Who had their hand first? Was it Charlotte?
It's
I don't
good.
know. Tracy.
Was
Tracy?
it Tracy?
Okay.
Your BV is good for 365 days.
No.
Repeat the question, please.
If I bought something January 1st of this year,
Right.
how long is my BV good for?
Oh, 364 days.
Nope.
366, it was leap year.
It's leap year.
Oh.
Ah,
No,
Okay.
no.
That's what it says in the book.
It's 365. Leap year does not count.
I found it on the website.
Send that to me because it is wrong.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay.
I just got recertified as a certified trainer, and I can promise you that is wrong.
Really? Hmm.
Oh.
I
Yeah, 'cause
I could show you the slide.
Yeah, because I was in there. I was either in the Nuat where I pulled it from, or the big book.
Yeah, so find that because it is wrong. It is, BV is worth 365 days. And you have to remember if there's a leap year, it does not include a leap year. So it will not go to the 366th day.
Yeah, it actually said 366 in there.
Huh?
Wow.
Yeah, send that to me because if the slide's wrong, it needs to be turned in.
Okay.
They tricked you right into that question, Carl.
I know, right? Here, I thought I had a good one,
Yeah.
You did.
right? Okay, so here's another one I have. If you
Wow.
have a credit card on file for auto ship and you have 2 credit cards on file, how many times will they be charged or attempted to be charged? Do you know? Maria?
You-
2 on the main, and then it goes to the secondary, and after that, your auto ship's canceled.
How many times on the secondary?
Just once.
Perfect. That's exactly it. Yep. So 3 times it will try. 2 on the first card and
first and
1
one
on
on
the
the
second card.
Good questions.
Right?
You have one more?
I do have one more. I have list 3 reasons for a purge.
Oh, yeah.
Tracy.
All right. All right, you ready? So you don't meet your monthly requirements. So that would be Form 1000, or you did not fulfill your BV requirements for the quarter.
Mhm.
And what else is what's the third one? All right, I don't know. Somebody else get it.
Who's got the
Anybody
third?
else?
Auto renewal?
Oh, auto renewal.
Not submitting the annual renewal by the start of your first month. That's what it says.
That's right. Yep.
And Tracy, I just want to point out, only because I think you chose the wrong word without realizing it. You started out by saying you didn't meet your monthly. It's actually your quarterly,
Quarter, right? Quarter. Yes, ma'am.
but all good.
Yeah.
And I have one last question. That 150 BV for the quarter, where does it need to be?
In your
Your
001.
001.
Mhm. It used to be able to be any center, but they changed it to 001 only. So it has to be in your 001. So good job. Good job, Carl. So
All right.
who's taking questions? So far I did questions, and then Charlotte, you did questions. Carl, you did questions. Who wants to take questions? Maria, you've got questions next week.
How many questions do you need?
Yeah, the list is getting longer.
Just, I don't know, just get like,
It's almost
I would say
10:30.
I would say like 5 or 6.
Okay.
Just so we can have some fun at the end. So, was this helpful, you guys, of going through
So
this?
helpful. Very helpful. Thank you. This is golden. This is great. Thank you.
Brian, was this helpful to you or not?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes.
Stacia, was it helpful to you?
Yes. I have a migraine coming on, so I'm not moving a lot.
Okay. Okay.
OPC.
Lots of OPC. And Maria, get some sleep. Stop.
Turn down is your friend.
I've tried the turn down. The other night I did Prime Dreams. I go to bed, and I think it's just because everything's messed up. I went to bed the other night at 11:30. At 1 o'clock, I was still like tossing and turning, and I thought, the heck with this. I got up, I came out, turned the light on, sat on the sofa, was reading a book thinking that'll put me to sleep. Well, I read till 3 o'clock, and then I thought, you got to go to bed.
Or finish the book.
I thought it would put me to sleep, but it didn't.
Have you tried magnesium?
I take magnesium every morning and every night.
Okay.
Take 2 at night, not in the morning.
I
Doctor-
can't shut my brain off.
Have you tried cannabiquin
Ah.
I've been taking that every night as well.
with Thimonol?
Not at night. I take Thimonol during the day.
Okay, I have one other, and I don't know the name of it. What's the new BV product that we got that was herbal at World Conference?
Oh, Mitagina, something like that.
Something
That's
like,
the-
have you tried that, Maria?
No.
I actually read up on it the other week and I told Pip we're ordering it. It's like, it's one of those that they don't want to get out on the market because the results are like amazing. It kind of reminded me, Laura, of our old thermochrome that we had years ago.
Mm.
So I would,
Thank you for reminding me on that.
I would,
I can
check it
speak
out.
to it because I have used it, and it wasn't for. I didn't use it for sleep, but I did use it for back pain, and I mean, it was like night and day. I couldn't believe it. So thanks for reminding me because I forgot. I'm gonna go take it right now.
And I forgot.
Is that the one though that they said it was for addictions though, to treat addictions? Is that
Yes.
the same
It
one?
helps to calm the body down.
Oh,
It's very good for anxiety.
I even turned the vibrating thing on. I have a
Oh.
sleep number and it has a, I have a sleep,
maybe that's what you're
I have a sleep number bed and it has waves.
With
So I
the
turned the waves
vibrator?
on.
That's amazing.
I turned the waves on the bed.
Wow, we are getting way comfortable with each other now.
Maybe you made yourself seasick.
I should have said I turned the motion
I'm
on the
leaving
bed.
here. Good night, Paul. Thanks so
You should
much.
try
I
that
can't get out of here. Bye.
Brian, I think you read.
The rest of us are used to Maria. It's okay.
All
All
right.
right.
All right. Good night,
All right.
guys.
Good night,
Good night, all.
everybody.
Bye.
Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, I do that all the time. I don't want to exit the screen. I want to turn the meeting off.